Hello, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's take a look at the 10 biggest mega projects in Europe. See what you guys are building over there. I know you guys build some impressive stuff. Mega builds, small and up and coming YouTube channel, guys. 1.52 million subscribers. Check them out, link down below. And check out their Squarespace link. Let's do it.
Largest offshore wind farm the world has ever seen, to a deeply controversial canal that threatens the political stability in the Black Sea. These are the top 10 megaprojects in Europe. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. More on that later.
What the fuck is that?
We start off with number 10, the Stad Ship Tunnel.
What's the physics behind this right here? What am I looking at?
More on that later. We start off with number 10, the Stad Ship Tunnel. $272 million. Over in the rocky coasts of Norway lies a patch of sea feared by many sailors. Considered as the convergence of the North Sea and the Norwegian Sea, the Stadhavet Sea is one of the busiest maritime routes in the country. Historically, this area has been known to be one of the most dangerous waters along the coast, with unpredictable winds and weather conditions. It has been documented by—
I feel like as a man, I need to get a job on one of those boats, you know? Am I really a man if I never have that job?
Historians that even the Vikings would choose to drag their boats across land instead of sailing through these waters.
That's insane.
To make traversing this area safer, the Norwegian Coastal Administration drafted plans to create what would become the world's first full-size ship tunnel. The
What?
Stad Ship Tunnel would completely bypass the dangerous Stadhavet
Kind of genius.
Sea and cut right through the Stad Peninsula.
Why wouldn't it just be a canal?
Reducing travel times by up to 2 hours. It will be able to accommodate as many as 120 ships a day. Once completed, the Stad Ship Tunnel will be the first of its kind in the world, allowing for the passage of full-size oil tankers and cruise ships.
Imagine being on a cruise ship going through there.
In 2021, the project got approval.
Everything would just get pitch black. I guess there's lights in the tunnel. That would be scary as hell.
From the Norwegian government, with a budget of more than 272 million US dollars.
That's not even that much. Like what? I would have thought this was like $10 billion.
Construction on the Stad Ship Tunnel.
It seems like a no-brainer, to be honest. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just so used to like looking at how much in debt the U.S. is, you know. What's $272 million? We wouldn't even notice that here in America added to our national debt. You know, just tack it on.
Is expected to begin sometime in 2024 and is estimated to be completed by 2026. Number 9, Frankfurt.
That's awesome. How is it going? Because this video is a couple years old. I need to look up, like, is it almost done? Okay, I found the Wikipedia. Well, I guess just like with everything else in this world, it got delayed. Shocker. Now the work begins in 2026, and it's going to be completed in 2031. Okay, a little disappointing, but okay, that'll be cool. In 7 years.
The new
America closed down a base? A military base? Good job, America.
Terminal 3.
Imagine just being able to park your Porsche right there. How much does that spot cost? I get it. They're probably just advertising it or something. Like, that's the idea.
New terminal is now expected to open sometime in 2026.
Okay, I guess I got to check that one, too. How's that going? How much you want to bet it's delayed? I mean, these projects are just always delayed, you know, no matter where they're at. That's not a German bureaucracy joke. It's on track. Still on track for 2026. And people make fun of German bureaucracy. Their project, on time. Let's go.
The new terminal is now expected to open sometime in 2026.
All right.
Number 8, Istanbul Canal, $10 to $15 billion. Situated at the crossroads between Europe and Asia, the city of Istanbul in Turkey is located at one of the most strategic locations in the world. The city itself is built on either side of the critical Bosphorus Strait that connects the Black Sea to the Mediterranean and to the rest of the world's oceans. This natural waterway on its own sees more ships pass through it compared to the Panama and Suez canals combined. However, despite being completely within Turkish borders, Turkey actually doesn't benefit from the strait financially.
Oof.
This is because of an international treaty that Turkey signed called the Montreux Convention that regulates its use. The agreement ensured Turkey's neutrality during World War II by heavily restricting the access of warships in the strait, and it also guaranteed free access to all civilian vessels. As one of the world's busiest shipping routes, the strait is often
Sounds like maybe Turkey needs to start charging for that.
times congested to the point where
I mean, it's better for the rest of us if they don't, right?
ships usually have to wait days just to pass through it. To minimize this shipping traffic, the Turkish government is planning to construct the Istanbul Canal, an artificial waterway that would cut right through the European side of
That
Istanbul,
is such a long canal.
effectively turning it into an island.
Damn.
The new canal would be 45 kilometers long and is estimated to cost the Turkish government as much as $15 billion. It began construction in 2021 and is
And shit always goes over budget, right? So it's probably gonna be 30 billion.
expected to take 7 years to complete. This new waterway would completely
7
bypass the
years.
Bosphorus, and some experts even argue the Montreux Convention itself. With this, Turkish allies such as the United States could in theory be given access to the Black Sea and send warships just outside of Russia's borders. Turkey would also be able to charge vessels that pass through it, hoping for the project to pay for itself over the next few years.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's an investment. In fact, if if the U.S. military is going to benefit, you better believe we will probably help finance that.
Number 7. Hornsea 3 and 4, $19.2 billion.
Damn! I don't even know what that word means.
As you
Hornsea.
probably already noticed, we're using an amazing 3D size comparison animation for this video. Our partners from To The Top helped us with this. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to their channel. But now we continue with Hornsea 3 and 4. When it comes to offshore wind power, the United Kingdom is the second largest producer in the world, only behind China. In fact, 4 out of the 5
And they're like 1/1,000,000th the size of China, like in landmass, you know?
largest offshore wind farms in the entire world are all located within the country. Most notable of the 4 are the Hornsea Project 1 and 2 wind farms, which are both the second and first largest in the world, respectively.
You know, I just kind of realized that putting these out in the sea kind of makes sense to me. You know, I never thought about the logistics of it, but when you don't have to deal with roads as far as transporting all these gigantic pieces of equipment to get out there and install it, you know, like you look at stuff when they build these things on land, it's crazy what they have to do to get just one fin. I think it's called fin. I don't know what it's called, but out there, you know, transport it out there down the roads. But when you can just put it on a ship and take it out to sea, that's pretty smart.
Hornsea 1 and 2 are both located in the North Sea, 80 kilometers east off the English coast. Together, these 2 wind farms generate a total of 2.7 gigawatts of power, enough to serve as many as 3 million UK homes.
Damn!
The wind farm will also take up an area of 870 square kilometers, which is roughly half the area of the City of London. However, despite the immense scale of the country's offshore wind farms, amounting to as much as 14 gigawatts of total generation.
So this is why I just watched one of the press conferences between Keir Starmer and Trump was like talking shit about wind farming, and Keir was like, "Bro, what you know about wind farming? You know who you're talking to? I own the Hornsea." He didn't say that, but now I know. That's what he was thinking.
They're still a long way from their goal of reaching a combined capacity of 50 gigawatts by 2030. Because of this, newer and bigger offshore wind farms are currently being planned to be built in the country. Hornsea 3 is one of these wind farms currently under construction and is expected to be finished by 2027. The project is planned to be built east of Hornsea 1, over an area of 700 square kilometers. Once complete, Hornsea 3 is expected to generate 2.8 gigawatts of power through 230 individual wind turbines, even more power than Hornsea 1 and 2 combined. Finally, Hornsea 4 is currently in its planning stage and will cover an area of 600 square kilometers northwest of Hornsea 1.
This thing's gonna be as big as the UK.
Project is expected to start construction in 2023 and aims to be operational by the year 2027.
Wow.
Number 6, Energy Islands of
So the UK is just gonna be independently running off of wind.
Denmark, $30 billion. Continuing with the topic of offshore
30
wind
billion.
farms, Denmark is no stranger when it comes to this technology. The world's first ever offshore wind farm was actually built in the country way back in 1991 and served as a catalyst for the further development of the technology. Today, wind power accounts for almost half of Denmark's energy production, the highest percentage in the world. As part of their goal to further develop its sources of clean and renewable energy, the Danish government is planning to undergo the largest construction project in the entire country's history. By 2030, Denmark aims to build the world's first ever energy islands, which will connect massive offshore wind farms to Denmark and neighboring countries. Denmark's energy islands will consist of 2 large-scale offshore.
So they'll be selling wind to other countries. You know, you want some wind? That's pretty smart.
Wind farms located in the North and Baltic Seas. An artificial island will be created in the North Sea section to act as a central hub for the area, and once completed, would have a capacity of up to 10 gigawatts, enough to serve 10 million European households. The island of Bornholm in the Baltic will serve as the second hub and have a capacity of 3 gigawatts. Once completed, the energy islands would increase Denmark's wind energy capacity by as much as 7-fold. Construction on the project is expected to begin as early as 2024. Number 5,
Damn.
European Route E.
Oh, 2024. Let's see how it's going. All right, this has been delayed. It's actually kind of difficult to find. They might have started construction, but it's been delayed. It was going to be completed in 2020 or in 2030. Now it's 2036. But that will be incredible.
Number 5, European Route E39, $30.6 billion.
Damn.
Because of Norway's coastal geography being extremely rocky, mountainous, and separated by thousands of tiny islands, it has always been difficult to navigate.
Look at that beautiful road.
The European Route E39 tries to solve this very problem by providing an easy-to-traverse path along the Norwegian coast. But even with the E39
Okay, I can see how this would be $30 billion.
in place, the 1,300-kilometer-long route still does not solve the problem of creating a continuous path along the entire Norwegian coast. This is because the E39, despite being designated as a single highway, is actually composed of many different sections across vast stretches of water. Driving through the entire route would require travelers to board 7 different ferry connections and would take at least an entire day. However, this is all about to change as the Norwegian government is planning to cut the 20-plus hours of travel time in half. They plan to achieve this by completely eliminating all the required ferry connections. This will be done through a series of tunnels and bridges that would bypass the water crossings along the route, essentially creating a continuous path. One vital part of this upgrade to the E39 is the Rogfast sub-sea tunnel, which would connect the city of Stavanger and Boken in Norway under a 15-kilometer stretch of water. If completed, the tunnel would become the world's longest and deepest road tunnel, with a length of 27 kilometers and a depth of almost
16 miles!
400 meters below the surface. Work on the tunnel began back in 2018, and it is currently expected to open in 2033. The project
All right, we got to check that.
in 2018, and it is currently expected to open in 2033.
2033. So it already started. It's on time. Let's go. 2033. The 2030s are going to be dope, guys. That's what I'm learning.
The project also calls
Maybe the world won't end after all.
for the creation of 4 individual floating highways that would carry the E39 across some of Norway's largest and most breathtaking
I'm not testing that.
fjords. One of these planned bridges would go over the Bjornafjorden and span a total of 5 kilometers above the water. Once completed, this floating bridge would become the longest in the world.
They say it's 5 kilometers above the water?
One of these planned bridges would go over the Bjornafjorden and span a total of 5 kilometers above the water.
He doesn't mean high. It sounded like he meant it's going to be 3 miles high. That would be really something. It's 3 miles long.
Once completed, this floating bridge would become the longest in the world, more than doubling the current record. Number 4. Grand Paris Express, $38 billion. The Paris Metro is one of the busiest metro systems in the entire world, seeing as much as 4 million
This
passengers
is what America needs.
each day. Being one of the most visited cities in the world, Paris suffers from the worst traffic congestion in Europe. To combat this worsening problem, it has been a top priority for the city government to build infrastructure that would facilitate the millions of commuters that pass through Paris every day.
Okay.
One major project that is aimed to combat Paris' worsening traffic is the Grand Paris Express, the largest transport project in the city, which aims to further increase the reach and connectivity of the Paris Metro. The project calls for the creation of 4 entirely new lines and the extension of 2 existing ones. In total, the Grand Paris Express is expected to create 200 kilometers of new tracks, along with 68 new stations capable of serving an additional 2 million passengers daily. Construction of the new lines began back in 2015 and
God damn, this is a huge
is
project.
currently being
I thought Elon Musk invented this, guys. A boring company. How are they doing this? Just kidding.
constructed in phases up to the year 2030. Before we get to the
What did he just say?
it is currently being constructed in phases up to the year 2030.
2030. That's coming up, guys. Oh, a big extension already just opened up in 2024. And it's all on time. It is all on time. That's incredible for such a huge project.
Before
2030.
we get to the top 3 biggest mega billion
Union Jack is at it, guys. Another one.
dollars.
What the hell is a Hinkley Point?
Nuclear power plants are notoriously known to be very expensive to build and extremely costly to decommission. However, if managed properly, their benefits can far outweigh their initial costs. So when the Hinkley Point C nuclear power station in the United Kingdom was first proposed in 2010, it was met with mixed opinions from the British people. But with substantial financial backing from both French and British energy companies, everything was looking quite well for the new plant. Hinkley Point C is part of a new generation of nuclear power plants that are meant to replace the country's old, costly, and inefficient plants. The project was initially slated to complete in the early 2020s and have a total capacity of 3.
Whatever you think about it, because I know nuclear is obviously, it's actually more controversial than I thought it was, especially over there in Europe. It's really not that controversial here in America, at least not that I'm aware of. But, you know, whatever you think about it, I've just got to say, it's almost creepy how, like, advanced the technology is for all of this. You know what I mean? It's like, holy shit, humans.
0.2 gigawatts, enough to supply
crazy.
7% of the entire country's energy needs. However, the construction was unfortunately met with multiple
You know what I mean? Like, if aliens did this, we would be impressed, you know? If we were like, yeah, they're using nuclear energy, atoms, they're splitting them or something and getting energy. We'd be like, what?
delays that pushed its completion
What?
date by 8 years and saw its cost balloon to more than double the initial estimates. For one of Hinkley Point C's financial backers withdrew from the project back in 2013
Ooh.
amidst rising construction costs caused by the 2011 Fukushima disaster. The COVID-19 pandemic further exacerbated the already delayed project with supply chain complications and cutting down on people working on the site. Today, the project is still under construction and is now estimated to cost as much as $47 billion,
Ouch.
more than twice its initial price tag, with the completion date being pushed back to as far as
Well, it makes sense because just inflation alone. I mean, $22 billion, you know, back when it started, probably is worth $47 billion.
2028.
You say 2028? Let's see, guys. Let's see if it's delayed. All right, it's looking maybe like 2029. That's not bad.
Price tag, with the completion date being pushed back to as far as 2028. Number 2, High Speed 2, $132 billion. When the high-speed train connection between
132 billion.
London and the Channel Tunnel opened in 2007, it was met with huge success.
Wow.
Constructed on time and under budget, High-Speed 1
Under budget.
managed to significantly reduce the travel time between
Look at
London
that.
and Paris.
That's an awesome clip.
Of its unprecedented success, the British government
Was that like the British and French cruise?
time between London and Paris. Because of its unprecedented success, the British government looked to create a second high-speed line that would connect the British capital to major city centers to its north. So in 2009, the Department for Transportation started to draw up plans for a second high-speed train line, which would aptly be called High Speed 2. High Speed 2's construction will be done in two phases, one going from London to Birmingham and another from Birmingham to Manchester and the East Midlands Parkway. As of 2020, the estimated budget for the entire project is known to go for as much as $132 billion and will become the biggest transport investment program in the country in over a century. Construction work on the new high-speed line started back in 2020 with the creation of viaducts and tunnels that would carry the line over and under different terrain. The project is estimated to be completed sometime in the early 2030s.
Well, that's kind of a vague timeline, so okay. Damn, it's crazy how much stuff that kind of thing costs.
Number 1. Trans-European Transport
Oh my god!
Network. $625 billion.
$500 billion.
The European Union is known for its
More.
vast and interconnected web of roads,
I
railways.
assume these are all denominated in US dollars, it seems like.
The European Union is known for its vast and interconnected web of roads, railways, and airports that make it extremely easy for people to go in and out of different countries.
It almost, based on the name of that, Trans-European Transport Net, it's almost like this is just the budget for all transportation through the EU, you know? So is this really a mega project, or is this just like all public transportation? I don't know.
And airports that make it extremely easy for people to go in and out of different countries. In fact, 27 European countries are all part of what is called the Schengen area. Travel between countries within this area is largely free of border controls and functions as a single jurisdiction, all covered under a single visa policy. As part of an effort to further connect European nations and make travel easier, the EU drafted plans to create what is essentially an all-encompassing transport network across the entire continent. The Trans-European Transport Network is a long-term project that will consist of roads, railways, airports, seaports, and telecommunications infrastructure that would solidify the EU as a single interconnected entity. The entire project will be divided into 9 different sections called core network corridors that would cover all major population centers across Europe. The entire project
God damn.
is estimated to cost as much as $625 billion and is envisioned to be completed by 2050.
2050, okay. See, at this point, they wouldn't even know if it's delayed or not.
One notable part of this ambitious vision is the Fehmarnbelt Tunnel, which will connect the German island of Fehmarn to Lolland in Denmark.
Ooh, that's
The
cool.
project started back in 2021, and once completed in 2029, it would become the world's longest road and rail tunnel. This vital piece of infrastructure would drastically reduce the travel time between the Danish capital of Copenhagen to the German city of Hamburg.
I wonder what makes them say, let's make a tunnel versus making a bridge. I guess a tunnel, you have to do a tunnel if it's that long,
And the rest of continental Europe.
I guess.
Another interesting part of the project is the Mont-Cenis-based tunnel, which will cross the Alps and connect Italy and France through high-speed rail. It's meant to bring together both countries' rail networks for easier trade and travel. At a length of 58 kilometers, the Mont-Cenis-based tunnel is set to become the world's longest rail tunnel once it's completed sometime in 2030. Which of these
All right, we can check if that's on time.
at a length of 58 kilometers
It says it's on track, but it says 2032 now. So maybe they amended that
which will
a while ago. 2032, on track.
cross the Alps and connect Italy and France through high-speed rail. It's meant to bring together both countries' rail networks for easier trade and travel. Along these project tunnel, once
Sorry.
58 kilometers, the Mont-Cenis-based tunnel is set to become the world's longest rail tunnel once it's completed sometime in 2030.
There we go. Okay.
Which of these
2032 now.
projects are you the most excited to see? Let us know in the comments below. If you want to see more
I
about
guess you guys would be able to say it better than me.
similar projects, you should watch our video about the top 10 megaprojects in the US.
Oh. Is this the Las Vegas Sphere? Because that's actually done. They actually did it, folks. That thing is pretty cool. I assume maybe you guys have seen clips of that. That is pretty cool. I need to go see that in person. Anyway, that was amazing. You guys got some amazing shit coming. 2030 is going to be dope, I hope. If we're not all blown up or something. I like how nearly all European megaprojects are energy or transport related and actually useful and not just show-offs. Oh, and then we've got the U.S. Sphere, which is just a giant ball that makes a big display. Okay, bro. The Sphere is still pretty cool. We could have instead made some, but this wasn't funded by like the government. Maybe it was. Oh God. Very cool. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye.